What is going on, everyone's? We here. We back with another episode of
Is My Point Valid?
Yes, indeed. Y'all might as well stay tuned because this is going to be a great topic. Yes, indeed. We back in this thing, and y'all know how we go ahead and get a crunk up. But before we do that, I'm going to let everybody know that I am Brandon D.
And I am Camille A. Stalker.
Yes, indeed. So let's go ahead and jump into it with What You Know Good. So, baby, what you got for them on What You Know Good for today?
So today, my What You Know Good is a little bit different because I just wanted to come in with a little script. Yes, a script. But when I created Is My Point Valid, my goal was to create a space where my husband and I could laugh and critique certain topics that surrounded marriage, parenting, growing up, working, fun. And as I become comfortable with this platform we are creating together, Brandon and I, it has given us an opportunity to touch the surface on several topics that may be taboo or heavy. Today's topic is heavy and may be triggering, but we must hold these conversations to do better as a community. My goal is to educate and to inform even when it's heavy. The topic at hand was on my mind because of my heavy listens, watchings, and readings during the week. And what made me cave was a real-life scenario that solidified the urgency of this conversation. So during the week, I listened to 3 audiobooks. The first was Rabbit by Patricia Williams, also known as Miss Pat. She has the Miss Pat show on BET Plus, I think, but she has a show. The next one was Act Like You Got Some Sense and Other Things My Daughters Taught Me. That's Jamie Foxx. And the last audiobook I listened to is The Last Black Unicorn, which is by Tiffany Haddish. I read one book titled Monday's Not Coming, and this is by Tiffany D. Jackson. I was able to get a movie and a documentary in, but the movie is all that matters in this case, and that's $1 Million Baby. What do they all have in common? Lots of foul parenting. They all have very traumatic experiences with their upbringing.
Some of them weren't even with their natural parents, right?
Right. Jamie Foxx, grandmother, she wasn't really his grandmother, but he called her grandmother. She adopted him. And his mom lived like down the street from him. So she didn't have hands in.
She didn't physically help raising him.
No, but now she stays with him. And he's like, I feel like that whole thing is trauma. But it was a lot of foul parenting. With Rabbit, Patricia Williams, she got pregnant at 13. And her mom was just using the church. She would have them kids baptized. She would go to different churches, and they had to be baptized so that you could go to the pantry and get food.
Her first name is for real Rabbit?
That was her nickname.
Oh, okay.
Her name's Patricia.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Proceed.
Her nickname is, but her mom would have them baptized and then at different churches, and then that was the only way that you could go get food, and they needed food, and she was like a welfare, and it was foul parenting.
So she would go get them baptized just to get some food.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Sounds like an excellent parent to me.
And with Tiffany Haddish, The Last Black Unicorn, her mom was in a car accident, so then she had some mental issues. But the way that she talked to Tiffany and just told her that she wasn't nothing and that she wasn't beautiful and she was dumb and all of these things, you look at Tiffany, yes, she's this big star and everything, but something ain't right either. Mm-hmm. Like, the trauma, and it follows you. And then with this book that I read, Monday's Not Coming, this book they're saying it's a good young adult book, and I don't know why they would want teenagers to read this book. This is a disturbing book. It was not a good read for me. It was a hard read. And
what made it hard?
What made it hard was the girl Monday goes missing, and her best friend is trying to find her. And at about the end of the book, they end up finding her in a freezer with her little brother Monday, and his name was August, in a freezer. And the mom admitted to
Monday in August.
They had a sister named April and another sister named Tuesday. Anyway, and the mom admitted that Monday was fast and had always been fast, and so she wasn't gonna have that. And she locked her in the closet first, and was like, left her there without any food or anything. And anytime she would make any noise, she would go in and kick her. So yeah, it was like abuse. And it's a fictional book, but it's just nonfiction. But this book is a lot of abuse. So y'all get ready for this this conversation. That's all I have for What You Know Good.
Alrighty then, moving right along. We're going to go ahead and get into the topic. Like we say, it's going to be a good one. It is heavy. So go ahead and let the people know what we're talking about today.
I'm busting a song. Y'all know that song, Heavy, Heavy. I got so heavy on you. That's from Dream Girls with Effie. Okay. So today's topic is parenting and trauma.
Yes.
So, there's been a lot going on. A lot, right? Just a lot. And so, all those readings I had, and then I didn't talk about the $1 Million Baby, because in the $1 Million Baby, Maggie was like trying to like have this approval for her mom. But her mom had been like abusive verbally to her, and she didn't want to lose her welfare. And Maggie had bought this house for her, and she was like, "I'm gonna lose my welfare." And it's like, what's more important, your daughter trying to help you, or you mooching off of the government? And so it got me to thinking, our parents' behaviors trickled down into our bloodstream, whether it's a speckle or a glob. And when I say trickle down our bloodstream, it might as well be your bloodstream, because it's in you. You're seeing it,
and you living it.
You're living it,
and you acting on it.
You're acting on it, and nobody's teaching you to say, "Hey, what I'm
you
doing."
You don't have to,
right?
Just because your parents are,
right? It's like, what I'm doing is not right, or to catch themselves and say, "Hey, you know what? I messed up." And when we get grown, we're looking to our parents to apologize. And they'll say, "You still upset about something that happened when you was little?"
And yes, I am.
Right.
I remember. Don't you?
Because I couldn't speak up on it at that time, because it was always something of, you don't say that. You respect me. And I think a lot of parenting is on this, if you say something that's against what I'm doing, then you don't respect me. But that's not how respect works.
Not at all.
I know that I have some statistics. Y'all, I can't say statistics. Some statistics on just about how children are, like how many children are in a two-parent household.
How children are coming up
yes.
as far as parenting.
Yes, just to give a view of it. So the majority of America's 72.9 million children under 18 live in households with two parents, and that's 70%.
Contrary to popular belief and all of the things that we see and hear on social media and all these different platforms, it says right here that 79% of the children under 18 have two parents in the house.
And that would include black children,
yes.
Right? That's worldwide.
It doesn't say 79.9 million white children.
It's everybody.
Everyone.
So that's 70%. And then we have that statistic, or whatever people want to say, that black people aren't getting married and there's no two-parent homes. Like, that's not true. So the second most common are children living with mother only, and that's only 21%. So it's not a very big number. I mean, it's kind of a big number.
It is, but
not compared to that
not
7,
relative
right,
to what we've been taught.
Right.
So
isn't that crazy? We're being taught that there are not a lot of 2-parent homes.
People aren't getting married anymore. All of these things.
And then you also have to think, although a mother might have been single, she might end up getting married, and then numbers change. And so of the 63.1 million parents living with their children, less than 78% lived with a spouse, and 15% had no spouse or partner present. So
that's only 15%.
It's only 15%. So it's not
now the number is small, but the impact is
you're right.
extreme.
You're right. Yes, the impact. Mm-hmm.
So it's not just the numbers, it's what's going on inside of that household.
Right, because you can look at 2-parent homes and be like, oh, they have the perfect life.
Yeah, but in a lot of instances, they're 2 parents, but only one is present.
Yes, absolutely.
So it's almost like there's only one parent in the household.
Because their child or children is looking to one person.
Yeah, so this number is a physical number. It's not a mental or a spiritual or any other kind of
who's running the household.
Exactly.
And that's kind of why I am very vocal on
hands-on.
I'm very hands-on, but also it is the thing of you just don't have to depend on mommy. Brandon can help you. Mm-hmm. Well, I don't say Brandon. Y'all know what I'm saying. Daddy can help you. If you need something, he has 2 feet just like I do. He can. And I know Brandon doesn't like when I say this, but it's just, what if something happened to me? Brandon doesn't like when I say that, but let's be real. What if something happened to me and you have to fill in that role? I mean, you would never be mommy, but you would have to come in and create this your own. And so why not create something right now so that they know,
so it's not a crisis situation.
Awkward. Yeah. Oh, I gotta fill in, but them your kids. Like what? So because we're the parent, are we really doing the best we can? Are we?
As I think about that question, the first thing that comes to my mind is we could always do more.
Always do more. Mm-hmm.
So I guess the answer to that question is no.
No. But because there's always room to improve, and
Absolutely.
We're learning something every day. And also how children work. Excuse me. They are becoming different people every day as well. Mm-hmm. So we can look at our children and be like, well, you remind me of me when I was growing up, right? Mm-hmm. And we have to be conscious to not put them through the trauma that we were put through, because our parents might have thought, dang, you look just like me. You look just like me. So I'm going to treat you
just like,
because I'm not okay with what I am.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's where a lot of trauma comes from with parenting. We don't know how to do it. When they say there are a lot of parenting books. There are a lot of guides. We're not picking them up and we're not reading them. But it's easy to emulate, which is Brandon is saying, don't do that. Mm-mm. It's easy to emulate what our parents did and how they did it. But
that's the shortcuts. That's a shortcut in life. Instead of trying to figure out your children and do things new, it's always easier to do what you've been seeing and been taught your whole life, whether it's right or wrong.
Yes,
so
it is.
We need not to take the easy route.
Let's work at it.
Let's put that work in.
Yeah, work hard at being a better parent. And being a better parent does not mean like buying your child
material things. Yeah,
like loving them, hugging them, embracing what's coming out of
conversing with them.
You don't want to conversate?
No, I do not. So then I'm gonna have to be compensated for my compensate.
Let's conversate. But so we can always do better. We need to stop thinking that we are our parents. Now, is the child our best interest? Is our child really up here, or is our child back here somewhere just doodling like, ooh, I just got to do something for you because you my kid. I had you, but I really, ooh.
Being that you said that, there are parents out here who will make it very clear to their children that I'm only obligated. So all the extra stuff,
Is that traumatic? Do you think that's
absolutely. Because you're telling your children, I only love you because I have to. Say, that would be traumatic to an adult.
And not, I love you because I want to.
Exactly.
Because, and isn't it funny because we choose, we choose.
Oh, look.
Wait, I gotta say it first. We choose people who we want to be in relationships with, and so we make a choice to love them and to deal with their crap, right? But as soon as something happens with our children, why you do that? But we don't do the person who we went out and chose that to, but we gave life to you, we gave life to the child, and we treat them like, ugh, you look just like
yeah,
like,
goodness.
And I don't think sometimes people see their children as their best interest or how valuable their child is because they came from you. You created that. Like, you created this beautiful being. And you can't see past the person you chose. You'll be negative in that. But, it's all, we make choices.
Absolutely.
And we have to be accountable for the choices that we making.
Yes.
Maker. No, but
so we shouldn't punish our children
right
based off of who we laid up with.
Right. That part.
That is not their fault.
That's not their fault. They didn't ask to be here.
Not at all. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, respect your kids.
And they'll respect you.
Exactly. If you show them respect, they will have it'll be almost an obligation for them to respect you back. Now, you get to talking crazy to your kids and cussing them out and all this here. First, don't be surprised when they go out in public and do it.
Right.
Then don't be surprised when they do you like that because you've been doing them like that, so that's what they know.
Them. You go out in public, don't you embarrass me and all of this mess.
And even
stop embarrassing them in private.
That's real. And even with your attitude and stuff, like for me, I be having to check myself because my daughter acts just like me.
Well, I have to check myself because
that Isabel acts just like me. When she gets upset, it's like a raging bull. Mm-hmm. So I really be having to check myself so she doesn't see my raging bull, so she doesn't feel like it's okay for her bull to rage.
Yes.
So
yes,
it's a everyday process. I'm constantly working on myself, and sometimes I forget to work on myself. Mm-hmm. But that's normal. We're all human. Yeah. And things like that happen.
As long as you jump back on and say, okay, I messed up this day, but what can I do better to parent tomorrow? What can I do? Did I tell? And it's little things. It's like, did I tell my child I love them? Yeah. Did I hug them? Did I just touch them? Even if it's not, a hug or anything, did I touch them? The next part to that question is, are we too honest?
We can be.
There's telling our children
there's
too
some
much?
Things our children don't need to know.
Like what we were just talking about, like why they were conceived. Yeah, you was just here
Yeah. And they don't need to know. They don't need to know your beef with your significant other or your beef with your baby mama or baby's daddy. They don't need to know about those things. They need to be able to formulate their own opinions on their other parent. Because
the choice that parent made not to be in their lives is on them. That has nothing to do with the child. Yeah. Because when you speak on it, then the child will be like, what's that movie? Why you don't want me? That was not Jamie Foxx. That was Will Smith.
Like my daddy used to say, I divorced your mama, not you. So, hey, we need to keep that in mind when we're going through it with our exes or whatever the case may be, not to put the children in there. Just continue loving them, even if it's separate.
Yeah.
Just continue loving them the same, so they understand that, yeah, even though mommy and daddy aren't together, I still have mommy and daddy.
Not together, but they love me.
Yeah.
And I think that's the most important thing that a child needs to see, is that love, especially if they're going through something traumatic as divorce. I didn't have to go through that, right? But as a married woman, I feel like if that were to go down, I don't know like how I would react. I don't know if I would be some petty person. I don't know, right? So, but I know that I would want my children to be okay. Like, okay, look, your daddy love you.
And I ain't gonna badmouth you or nothing like that.
That part. We have to be mature about these things. Like, why am I badmouth? If that person don't want to deal with this beautiful being that is here, then it's not your job.
And you don't always have to say what's on your mind.
Nope.
Out loud.
Nope. Keep it.
Sometimes
to
you can keep it to yourself. And having people around you to hold you accountable when you are doing things
reckless.
Undesirable to your children. Because it's easy to overlook things when we have nobody calling us on it.
Yeah. My sister does. Probably around in December. She FaceTime, Duo messaged me or whatever the little thing is, and she was just telling me, this, and I see this, and I didn't trip because I know it was coming from a place of help. Like, Camille, you can do this better. Your girls are watching you. And I always know my girls are watching me, but sometimes, like we're saying, we can get carried away. But she was coming in and trying to stop that some traumatic situation to come through and be like, okay, this is what it is. Mm-hmm. So I appreciate that moment, but not everybody's set up to take that in.
Constructive criticism.
Yeah, we need it.
Gotta have it.
We need it.
Yeah.
Because we're dealing with our own battles from our childhood. Give me one thing that you think that we can help to break traumatic experiences.
One thing that we can do to help?
Yeah.
I think it's all with conversation, dialogue, getting it out there so we understand where each other stand. Mm-hmm. If we don't understand where we are, we won't have an understanding of where we're trying to go or anything like that. So I think it all starts with a conversation.
Conversation with who?
I mean, whoever, with your children, amongst the parents. We need to all be on the same page.
Another question before I move on to the list. Do you think that we should have conversations with our parents and tell them
how we
were impacted by what they did?
Absolutely.
What if they see that our trauma, or we're not, they say we're tripping on what we went through?
Sound like my doggone daddy.
It was all a dream.
Say some people.
I used to read word.
Some people won't own up to the stuff that they've done.
So they're in denial.
And when you get into instances like that, it's just, I need to get it off my chest.
Right.
So I can move around.
Right.
So it's not always about getting an apology or getting some kind of remorse out of that person.
It's about growth.
It's
you
about
getting
growth.
It off of you, so that you can do what you have to do to raise your children better than what had happened.
Yeah. So that's how I feel about that.
I was trying to think of one. How do you break those traumatic experiences?
How do you break those traumatic?
I had already asked you. You said to have a conversation.
Yeah, it all starts with conversation. We have to know that we were traumatized, and you have to know that you were traumatizing your kids in order to come to a place where you can fix the trauma.
Yeah, and for us to not repeat it. Like, acknowledge or for our parents to acknowledge, okay, you
Yeah.
felt like that.
Yeah.
Yes, this is how I felt.
And then for us as parents to own up to our bull jive, so our children, we don't make our children feel like they the crazy ones.
Yeah. Because I ain't crazy. I know I witnessed what I witnessed. Okay?
I know I witnessed what I
I
witnessed.
witnessed it.
And I'm
there.
trying to tell you, some people will be like, well, I don't know what you're talking about. Say, homeboy.
You know, don't be in denial. Tell the truth.
And get yourself some power.
All right.
Straight up.
One of the goals to raising children and not allowing them to be in traumatic situations, listen to our children and allow them to trust you. Here goes a list of some things that you can do, because sometimes your child is going to tell you some things that you do not want to hear, and it's going to be uncomfortable. And I know in the Black community, we like to raise our voices. We like to get loud. You don't do that. Look, sit still and calm down and let your child speak. Let what's in here come out. Pay attention to their body language, facial expressions, how they're moving their hands, and if they're making eye contact with you. Mm-hmm. Eye contact says a lot. Because
I'm going to tell you one thing to tell you that your child is pissed off, he ain't looking at you.
Man.
They ain't paying you no attention.
Man.
You just be talking and they be...
them hands moving and stuff. Woo, be careful. They might pop you.
No, I'm trying to tell you.
Don't interrupt. Let your child state their feelings and finish. So let them get it out. Like I said, it's probably going to be something uncomfortable.
Absolutely.
Let them get it out. Let them finish, because you did all this talking. They heard you.
Oh, yeah. They had to.
Don't you say
you ain't
nothing.
give them a choice.
You didn't give them a choice, but to sit down and listen to you. So it's your turn. Sit down and listen. If you need more clarity, speak to your child. Don't yell or fuss. Show your interest. Show that you care about what they are saying. Other people, teachers be showing that they care.
Yeah.
Grandparents be showing that they care. So you as a parent, show that you care and you're willing to be like, okay, that's how you feel? Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. So there are going to be some things you do not want to hear. And it's okay to question it, but you have to keep your cool. You have to be mellow, man.
It should always be a safe space for your children.
Safe space, a good one. That was safe space. Don't dwell on a single detail until you understand the context. Understand why your child feels this way.
Get the full picture before you have an opinion on it.
Because your perspective, and that's the thing about perspectives or our views, how we view something is totally different than how a child might view it.
How you view something might be totally different from how other adults view it.
Most definitely.
So it's definitely going to be different for your children.
But the child's mind is developing, right?
Exactly.
So, and then they watch all these shows and how the family dynamic is supposed to be. And some children are looking for that, and then their reality is not that. So they're escaping into these shows, but that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
So don't place the blame. Don't be like, I don't believe you. You a liar. And calling them out their name and all that stuff. We gotta. The goal is to work out the problem together. You're a unit. If it's two of you, you're a unit. If you have 4 kids, you're a unit. You're the mama and the daddy, and the 2 children need to know that they need to have each other's backs, and that you have their backs. We need to learn that because it's easy to divide as well.
Absolutely.
In a family, it's easy to say, okay, well, we're going to divide this up. And
that's what the world is all about, division. So
division. We taught to hate your brother and not and this and this and this, and especially if you're not dealing with the same situation, and it's like
craziness.
Y'all.
Foolishness.
Let's work together, but solve problems together. Hear your children out. They want to be heard. They don't want to be voiceless. There have been times when I've been voiceless and I just wanted to be seen, and it didn't feel good. I'm looking, hey, I'm over here. I'm stuck at sea. Come save me. And I didn't get saved till I was about a grown person, right? So pay attention to your children. Listen to what they're saying. let's stop this movement of trauma, because it's a movement. We taking it and pushing it under the rug. Children are people, and their feelings they're valid, just like grown folks.
Mm-hmm. You want to feel validated.
Mm-hmm.
Your children do too.
Yep.
So just keep that in mind when you're having these conversations with your children. Before you do all of these things, you need to first learn your children.
Oh, absolutely. That's
so
good.
You understand the different mannerisms and how they're looking, acting, all of these things. Because if you don't have an understanding of who your child is, then all of these things are irrelevant because you're not even going to be able to recognize it.
Shoot, and before you get to know your child, get to know yourself.
Absolutely.
Before we go, and also having babies, let's start learning ourselves before bringing people into the world and saying, well, you need to behave like me. They need to behave like who they were set out to be.
Exactly.
And we are here to help guide them into that.
Yes, let your children be them.
Yep.
Yes, indeed. So, man, that was a good conversation.
I know it.
Yes, goodness. So, hey, just listen to your kids and all that good stuff. But before we go ahead and get up out of here, we gonna hit y'all in the head one time. Y'all know how we do on this day in Black History. So on this day, and this falls right into the topic. So on this day, February 21st of 1989, DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince won the first rap Grammy for Parents Just Don't Understand. They just don't understand these days either. But yeah, we're gonna keep it on the moving. We're gonna listen to our children and all that good stuff. But y'all continue to show us love by liking and subscribing everything that we do, and we'll show the love back. Catch us on all podcast streaming platforms, and we'll see y'all next week. Peace.